So today we have gathered to learn about Python. So in this presentation, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. In this presentation, we will embark on an exciting journey into the world of programming. We will learn the fundamentals of programming, a versatile and beginner-friendly language, and explore the core concepts of programming that applies to many other languages as well. Programming is essentially the art of giving clear and precise instruction to a computer. Each and every computer or computer programming languages, the concepts are all same. If you have good problem solving skills, then it doesn't matter what language you are learning, be it C, C++, Java, Python, any language, .NET. Each and every programming, the way you are going to write the logic is going to be same. So if I am asking you to make a lemonade, can you tell me the steps? Can anyone of you tell me the steps? Or very easily, if I ask you, if I want to know whether the number is an even number or not, how your mind is solving that, if you can tell me the steps, same steps we are going to feed into the programming language, and it is going to give me the same output. But when we are doing it in our using our brain, we actually implicitly doing all the steps and we don't know. But if we think it and write and give clear instruction to any of the programming language, it will do the same behavior what your mind did it. So programming is nothing but just a set of instructions that we are giving, but the set of instructions that needs to be given are accurate, precise, and in the correct order. So suppose if I am saying I want to make a lemonade and I say, okay, squeeze lemon, add water, add sugar, and that's it. But I did not cut the lemon. I did not actually picked up the knife. I did not wash the lemons. So the instruction needs to be in particular order. If not, then the programming, it's just a dumb brain. The computer is just a dumb brain. Whatever you are going to feed it, it is going to give you the output. If you are going to feed wrong thing, your output will be wrong. So it doesn't know anything. So it is just like a 4-year-old baby. If we have to give clear instructions to them to do things, right? So if I am asking them to suppose if I'm asking them to put the bread, but I'm not telling where the bread or sandwich needs to be put on, they will directly put it on the floor, they may directly put it on the table, you don't know. So what they are going to behave it is different than if you don't give instruction properly, we don't know what they are going to behave. Similarly, in computer, if you don't give instructions properly, it is not going to behave it correctly. So programming is, it's giving instructions, clear instruction, precise instructions to the computer. We write code, which is set of instructions in a specific language that the computer can understand. Just like you follow a recipe to create a delicious meal, code is a set of instruction the computer follows to perform a particular task. Now, before starting Python, there are very small basic programming concepts which we need to know before jumping into the coding. There are few examples which we are going to take to find out a pattern, what these examples have in similar. So I have a recipe to make favorite food. I have assembly instructions for a toy, and I am getting ready in the morning to go to school. So all of them are having what is common in all of these activities. Can anybody answer? It's just the sequence which we are following, right? For recipe, we do have a sequence of sequence or the instructions. Even for assembly instructions for a toy to build, we are following something. And getting ready to go to the school, that also, I cannot go to the school and do brush there or bath there, right? So it wouldn't be right that the kid got ready, they get ready and go to the board the bus and then do clean his teeth or just iron their dress in the school. So sequence really matters. I can give one instruction, I can give two instruction, I can give 3 instructions, I can give hundreds of instructions to computer to perform a particular task. Now there is another pattern in this one. This is a different concept of programming. The first one we saw was sequence. We will give instructions to the computer. How we will give, that we will see later. First one was sequence. Second one is, I want to decide whether I want to go to a movie or I want to study, or eating salad or sandwich, or go to a job or go for a higher studies. So what all of this are having something in common. Can you guess what it is?
Decision making?
Yes. So we have selection here, and for every programming language, it's a keyword like if. So I am saying if I'm making a decision here. So it has to be presented with the if statement. All of them has selection. Okay. So first was sequence, second is selection. And when we make decision in day-to-day life, our computer also, when we are giving instruction, we wanted to bifurcate, or maybe we wanted to bifurcate the flow based on something. So if I say, okay, if I take again the bank example, I want to give loan to the customers whose credit score is say more than 500. So I am doing a condition check here. Whosoever is having less than 500, I am not going to give loan to them because they may default later. So your program or whatever bank is having a code in it, they have small selection conditions or statements in their code to decide something, maybe for loan or maybe for giving overdraft, or maybe for giving an option for say free checkbook or free balance withdrawal. So based on the scenario, the actual real world scenario, there might be many conditions which we ourselves do in our life. And similarly, when we are going to build something and when we are going to ask something from the computer, we need to do this selection statements in our code to make some decision. So very simple example if I take is if I want to know whether number is an even number or not odd number, right? What I am doing in my mind, I am trying to divide it by 2. And if the remainder is 0, I am saying it's an even number. If the remainder is non-zero, it means it's an odd number. So since I am talking now and telling you the step, I am realizing it. But as in when you come and ask me, my mind is quickly doing it and giving you the answer. So our brain is having a power of doing logic. The same logic, whatever we are thinking, if we write that in a piece of paper or a document, we will be able to do coding, be it any language. So it's just the logic building capability which we have to become a developer or to become a data scientist. It doesn't matter what language we are working on. The syntax will be a little bit here and there. Since Python is like little easy, that is why it is like used everywhere, even by the data scientist, AI, ML studies, researches, everywhere it is being used now. So for selection structure, we were having a condition, and if that was true, I am doing something. Otherwise, I was doing something else. So what I said, if the number is divisible by 2, if the number is divisible by true, that condition is true, then I am saying it's an even number. Otherwise, I am saying it's an odd number. So in this Python, we can write the if structure as if something, then do this, else do this, and end if. Now there is another example which we'll talk about. So I am eating chips from a packet, but it is continuously until the packet is having chips, I am eating. Once the chips are stopped, I mean it's not there, I will stop picking the chips from the packet, right? So this is something happening again and again. Now I am go on a shopping spree with a lot of cash. So if I have cash, lot of cash, then I will shop. And the third one is take an exam that has several questions. So all of these examples are having something in common, which is nothing but repetition, right? I'm repeating something again and again. I'm eating one chips, then I'm going into the packet and again picking up another chips, then doing something else. So suppose bank want to send some statement or a notice to all of those who are living in say Seattle. So now what they will do is they are iterating all the customers who are living in Seattle and trying to generate a notice for them to be sent. So it is happening in loop. So we call it as repetitions or loops. This is also being needed. This is also needed when we are doing programming, because there might be possibility, as I said for bank example, we might have to repeat some task. The task will not be same because task is same, but for different customers, it is different. In the sense, I have 100 customers, but the operation is same, right? I am performing some operation on all of those customers who are living in Seattle. So your data is different, but whatever operation you are doing is same. So that you are going to write in loops. So all this, whatever I am talking about here I am going to go in detail later, but these are just basic building blocks of any programming language where we know all these things. It's just the matter of those keywords which I am using here, and how we are going to write it in program. So repetition structure can be, say, in general, while there should be more items to process. If there are more items, I will come inside this while loop and I will process the items. So while there are more chips in the packet, I will eat chips one by one. I will eat chip. Then it will go back to while loop and say, okay, there are more chips in the packet, then I will eat again. If there are more, so this will happen until, suppose if I have 20 chips, it will run 20 times. Similarly, for all those months, I want to generate salary or paycheck. I want to process the paycheck or salary of people. So this will run 12 times because you are telling. So this and this, here you don't know how many chips a packet has, because when you open a 5 rupees Lays chips packet, you don't know whether you will get 5 chips inside it or you will get 10 chips inside it, right? But there are months which are fixed. We know that it is going to be from January to December. So we use for loop in those cases. And wherever here also I can use while loop for 1 to 12, but there are conditions where I don't know how many items are going to be processed. So usually for those, we are going to use while loop. So while this happens, go ahead and do it. For, we know in this one that it is going to run for 12 times. So, I mean, don't worry. This, I'm just focusing on that there is something called as repetition. There is something called as a sequence. There is something called as an if like the selection thing. So if I talk about all these three together, if you can think of any example. Okay. So suppose I have told to kid in the morning that I am going to come back by 12 o'clock before he comes in. But if I don't come in, go ahead and find the key from the neighbors. Okay. So here what I have done, I have added one condition. I have added some instructions. It can be possible I have hundreds of instructions, out of which I have written 4 or 5 if-else statements, 4 or 5 selection statements, and it can be possible I have added 2, 3 repetitions. There might be possible there are some things which I wanted to do repeatedly, right? So when we are giving instructions can have all this together. It cannot, it's not like that if I am having loops, I cannot have selection criteria. If I am having selection, I cannot add loops. I can do as many things, how much ever number of times I want to do, I can do it. So why we are learning Python? It's very easy to learn. And the way, by looking at the code, you will come to know what is happening. So 13 lines of code in Java is going to be 1 line of code in Python. How it started is, earlier, all this English, I mean, the code is like readable as of now, be it Java, be it Python. Earlier, when the assembly level instructions or Pascal languages were there, you actually, at the time of 8085 programming language, you have to actually tell what processor, what register is there in your laptop or computer. And when you want to say, okay, you want to do addition of 2 numbers, say 5 plus 3, you have to mention where 5 needs to be stored, where 3 needs to be stored, and you have to exactly tell the register names there. So that was not very easy to understand, not very easy to code. But and day by day, when the languages are getting created, as of now, recently one of the big guy told, right, AI is going to be the new language. Your English is going to be a new language. You don't have, because of AI. So all these coding languages that we are learning is going to go or vanish in future, because by just giving the English instructions, everything can happen through a robot or a computer. So future is scary. But yeah, I mean, since Python has been used a lot by the data scientists nowadays, it is in very, I mean, like demanding. And it's good to learn, because even my 6th grader was having Python in her syllabus. So I was like shocked to see that AI and Python has been introduced so early to them. It is very powerful language, as I said, and it can be used for data science. It can be used for web development. You can find the insights by doing 3 lines of code. And I mean, you don't have to write lots and lots of code. You can do even 4 lines of code and perform the task. So recently I wrote only 5 lines of code to actually pass the text, and it will generate an audio file. I mean, a computer will speak that particular story or story for me and generate an audio file and save it in my drive. So it's very easy because the number of lines of code has been reduced. So what we will do is we will try to do little bit hands-on. You don't have to install anything. What you can do is, let me know if you can see my screen for that one. You have any questions, anyone?
No questions. Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, I am sharing Google Colab. So you just have to put this in your browser URL space, colab.research.google.com. With your Google account, it will automatically log in, and then you can start your Python coding here. You don't have to have Jupyter Notebook or any other software installed. Maybe for practice. I mean, not only for practice. I mean, I did my capstone projects and all my projects in Google Colab. Why? Because they were giving me GPUs and the runtime for free. So you have multiple runtimes here. So when we are connecting to Google Colab, what it is doing is Google is giving you a virtual machine. So here, when I am saying my runtime type is Python and I want a CPU, they will assign a virtual CPU to me. If I am saying I want T4 GPU or TPU, this will be used when you will do model building and trying to predict something, maybe a computer vision kind of a project or something. In that time, when your model is very high and needs processing a lot, that time we will go ahead and use this too. It is going to be very fast when we use this one, but if you're not utilizing the resources properly, Google will alarm saying you are not using the GPU properly. Please disconnect and connect to CPU. So as of now, whatever coding we are going to do, it's just the CPU. CPU can be is enough for it. So you don't have to change anything here. You just have to say connect. So I will share this document. We will do little hands-on here. So see, it is saying connecting, right? Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend, and once it is connected, it will say connect. Yeah, so it is connected now. Now I can run any code of Python. You can even go to even whatever requirement you're having. You can even go to ChatGPT or Gemini. You extract that Python code and just paste it here. It will work. You don't need anything to install on your computer. Okay, you can just try whether you are able to open this or not. Yeah. So let's start with the very basic operators and what variables are and how we will give instruction to Python. You will wonder why I am giving 5+3 code to Python, but it is just the basic thing which I wanted to show or start with Python. So I now suppose if there is a 4-year-old kid and I am asking them to count 5+3. So what they do is with their fingers, they will actually point 5 fingers in one hand and 3 fingers in another hand, and then they will try to count all of them, right? Then they will say, okay, 5+3 is 8. Similarly, as I said, computers also, they need, when we are giving instructions to them, they need some place to store. So the place where they store values are called variables. Now, if I'm saying, okay, if I'm offering you a glass of water or a milk, I am not going to give you in the small bowl or a plate, right? I am going to give you that in the glass or a cup, right? So every data which is going to be stored somewhere needs to be stored properly in that particular vessel or that particular kind of a variable in Python. So suppose if I want to add two numbers, I will say, so this is a kid, 4-year-old kid. He's storing a equal to 5. A can be anything. You can say your name also. Say Amrita and Megha equal to 6. But in programming, whenever we are doing programming, we give useful names. So I am saying, okay, this is my payable amount. And I wanted to add GST on top of it. So I can say my 50 is my payable amount and I'm charging a GST as 7. So now tell me what is the total amount. So I can say total amount. We always use camel case. So I'll put this and this. So total amount is going to be payable amount plus GST. And then I am pressing shift enter. So when I'm pressing shift enter, it has actually calculated, but I have told that just go ahead and store that in the total amount. I am not asking them to print or use it further down the line. So I will say, okay, what is the value of total amount? If I just say like this, it will give me total amount is 57. So why I am showing you all this basic example is because we wanted to know what all operators we can use in Python and how variables we can use in Python. So if I say, any questions here? So now, since I have not told what will be the type of payable amount, because in other languages, I'm not sure who has coding background. Other languages, we do mention that this is an integer variable or this is a float variable. Different kinds of variable exist. Just like you have glasses, bowls, and plates in computer. Okay, so we are going to have meeting end in 10 minutes. Let me cover the operators first. So similarly, in this programming language, we don't specify what type of data we are going to. When I'm saying variable payable amount equal to 50, automatically it is seeing that it doesn't have decimal. If it has decimal, it would have made it as, this is showing it as integer here, right? But if I make it as 50 plus GST like this, and if I say, okay, type of total amount, it became float. It's a floating number having a decimal there. So Python is so intelligent that whatever we are assigning, it is understanding that by itself and assigning that data type to it. Why the data types are necessary is, as I said, different dishes have different way of presenting it in different vessel or plates or glass or cups. Similarly, different variables, different values needs to be stored into different kinds of data types. So these are all data. This is all data and its type is called data type. So as of now, since I stored 50.0, it means it became a float number. If I would have stored a temporary variable with say true, sorry. Boolean. Okay, like this. This will become a string. So since I quoted it in quotations, it became string here. It is automatically determining by looking at the data, it is converting it to that data type. So we checked the plus operator. If I want to add two numbers, I'm storing it in A and B variable and just clicking on. So there is a print command, print function. And if you pass whatever you want to do, instead of storing it in the third variable, I am just printing the result, A plus B. So it gave me the answer. Now, if I want to do the subtraction, I will use minus, this hyphen. If I want to do multiplication, I will use a star. If I wanted to divide a number, but I don't want to see the decimal place of it. So I will say slash slash 2 times. And if I want to divide the number and see the floating point value, then I will use a single slash. So suppose if so here 81 divided by 8 is not 10, it is 10 point something, right? It is 10.125. Okay, so your single slash is giving you till the decimal places value. Your double slashes are giving you only without decimal. So there might be some scenario where you want to truncate the decimal places. That time you will use double slash, double forward slash. And then if you wanted to consider even the decimal places, because in banks, you are not supposed to truncate the paisa, right? The cents or the paisa. So you are supposed to capture the decimal places also. That places, that time you are going to use the forward slash, not the double slash, because then there is going to be a lot of money which may not be belonging to someone because you are truncating and you might be giving extra money to them or taking extra money from them in the bank. Now that there is one more possibility that I wanted to know the exponential value of 9 to the power 2. So I will use double star. 1 star is multiplication, 2 star is exponent finding. I can do, like if I wanted to know how many seconds are there in a week, I can say, okay, how many seconds are there in the day? And if I multiply by 7, it will give me seconds in a week. So many calculations. I was just showing A and B, but real life, there might be many calculations which you will do, like finding the interest calculation or how much penalty you want to charge when someone is breaking the FD. So you will do all this small plus minus, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, exponential, everything you will do. So this were the just basic. Why I showed everything would be same, only these 2 forward slashes are new. I think even the power one was there earlier for other languages, but double slashes was new here. Now, whatever if conditions which we have seen there, if I wanted to know if out of these 2 numbers, which one is greater. So what I will do, A is equal to some number, B is equal to some number. And if A is greater than B, I have to put a colon here. Then print A is greater than B. Otherwise, print A is smaller than B. So this is another basic condition, if else condition which we have done here. There could be multiple nested conditions as well, saying, okay, if A is equal to 100, B is equal to 100, in that case, this will not perform correctly, because in this case, what it will say, 100 is not greater than 100. It will come and print in the else block. It will say A is smaller than B, but both of them were 100. So you added one more condition. If A and B are equal, first what you did, if A is greater than B, you just print A is greater than B. Otherwise, else if, it is short form of else if. Otherwise, what you have to do is, you again, with else if you have to give the condition. With else you don't have to give a condition, because whatever, how much ever else if you want to put, maybe 10, 15, you can put it. But the last else will not have any condition, because even if it doesn't satisfy those 10 conditions or 11 conditions, at the very end, it is going to go in the else block. So likewise, many complex condition statements you can put. This is also is available in any of the languages. You have worked on any other like .NET, Java, you can relate. But only thing is the syntax is changed. You have a colon here and you have elif here. Any questions here? Anyone?
No question.
Okay. So we have last 2 minutes. Okay, now there could be possibility that I don't want to fix those numbers like 100, 100, 5, 2. I want to get the input from the user. So when I'm running this code, see there is a box came in, right? Why this box came in it? Because I am using this input function. I am saying the first box, I want to give an input as 55. Then I'm pressing an enter. It is asking me B value. B also, whatever input I am taking, I am converting it to an integer. So if I suppose 55.5, if I say, or say 10.5, if I say, it cannot be converted to integer. So what I will do is I will run again. I will say 55, then 10. So it is telling A is greater than B. Whatever 55 I have entered is actually greater than 10. So you can take inputs from user also. That is, I mean, very rare. Instead of input, you might have taken something from the database. When you run any program, until unless you are using a website to get the age of a to get the age of a person, to know the interest rate, because every more than 60 years of people, they get different interest rate. And so based on age criteria, if you're taking from the input from the user, that you can pass it here and then do your processing. So I think the very basic sequences, conditional statement we have covered. Next class, we will cover loops and what all different kinds of variables, the way we are going to variables and the data types and the hands-on project, we will complete in the next class. And to that next class, after that, we will talk about this list, tuple, and sets. I hope whatever we have discussed today is clear. I'll share the recordings with you in case you want to share to someone else.
Megha, are you going to do any advanced things also like in